Okay, we got white father of 3 killed right before Christmas by yet another wrong way driving, drunk illegal S. You don't hate them enough. Yeah, that didn't affect his work performance. No, he was fair and impartial. Right after sending that. And S filet F my order up. No speaky, no English. Chick-fil-A catching strays? Chick-fil-A. Do they know? Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week. We expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. Today, MAGA. I know that ain't what I think it is. Spurs players refuse to put their hands over their hearts for the national anthem. They're making millions of dollars to play a child's game and still feel oppressed somehow. Only 2 players covered their hearts. Take note of which ones.
Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
The ones out of uniform? The ones who wasn't going to play? Also the white ones. With apologies to Luke Cornett. Wow, MAGA. Wow, that's what we doing? Look into the national anthem for disrespect? Wait till they get a load of Carl Lewis.
And the Rockets, red flag. Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
Matter of fact, I'm surprised y'all got over Fergie when she sang at the NBA All-Star game. Y'all remember that? That was before y'all canceled the NBA for being too woke.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Which, speaking of which, why y'all watching? I thought y'all wasn't watching the NBA no more. I thought. And not the Spurs and the Knicks. Ain't a place bluer in America than New York City. And wait till you get a load of Trump's reception if he decides to darken the doors of the Garden, which we know he won't. And speaking of San Antonio, you're not talking about Greg Popovich's franchise, are you? You talking about Greg Popovich's franchise? Ooh, this is nasty. MAGA, I don't know. Matter of fact, since we're talking about the national anthem, ain't Roseanne Barr in your midst? Don't y'all still welcome in Roseanne Barr? Talk about disrespecting the national anthem? That's nasty work, MAGA. That is real nasty work. I can tell you that.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Hey, give MAGA a break. Give MAGA a break. It's hard to be a MAGA out here. You got to be out here waving the flag for patriotism while at the same time watching the complete dismantling of our democracy. You have to embrace fascism while wearing the colors of the US of A. You know how hard that is?
Here I am,
You have to yell out America first while watching our economy go directly into the toilet while we send billions of dollars overseas to countries that have better health care and education than we do.
I think that.
You have to yell out law and order. Why don't you just comply? In defense of a president that's willing to pardon any fraudster within $1 million wires length, alongside trying to pay the J6ers, including those who actually assaulted cops, and ignoring the Epstein files.
It's sad, isn't it?
You know how hard it is to be a MAGA these days, yelling out free speech so you can drop ends and then proceed to try and cancel the libs. You know how hard that is.
I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty.
I mean, really, and you gotta give them something. If they look into the NBA finals to watch the national anthem and analyze it so they can attack black people, that's all they got left. I mean, just wait till they get to the national spelling bee. You know how hard it gotta be for them to watch that.
You are the two-time.
And, you know, it just gets harder for MAGA every single day. It's so bad now, you can't even trust your own family.
Can I trust you?
Yes.
Racist state trooper resigns in disgrace after wife reveals shocking white supremacist messages in divorce filings. An Arkansas state trooper resigned after his wife unveiled dozens of disgusting racist texts he sent her as evidence in their divorce proceedings. Michael Austin Kelly, a father of two, left the Arkansas State Police on May 15th, more than a month after his wife of 12 years included his shocking hate-filled texts in her divorce filings. In the text, Kennedy allegedly spews vile insults against all people other than white men, naturally. He uses the slurs N's and S's for Latinos in almost every message published in the complaint. Kennedy's wife, Alana, filed the complaint seeking sole custody of their two children with visitation rights for their father. Oh, it is a whole lot to unpack here. Now, let me start with this part. No, because we're going to deal with him. We're going to slow cook him. Don't you even worry about it, Alana. We're going to slow cook him. Don't even worry about that. But I got a question for you, though. So this man was a police officer who was policing communities filled with Black and Latino residents, the same people that entrust him with their safety and pay his salary. This is how he felt about them. But it was okay till y'all got divorced?
This is egregious work. This is nasty, egregious work.
You know what I mean? Alana, this was okay till y'all got divorced? That's when it became a problem? It had to be said. It had to be said. Now, let's deal with the force. The force. Because I'm supposed to believe that this is what my man was texting freely back and forth with his wife on the regular. I mean, you talking about reams of paperwork that they got on this dude just of the racist text, and none of it had gotten through. Huh? It wasn't no other officers or no superiors or nobody like on none of those texts. That's what I'm supposed to believe. That's what I'm supposed. Arkansas, come on. Y'all not helping that SEC boycott talk. You really not helping that SEC boycott talk. And wasn't nobody even really coming for y'all. They was coming for Alabama and Tennessee and Louisiana mostly. Okay, wasn't nobody even really coming for y'all, but y'all decided to sign up for the Summer Jam screen. Well, y'all were jealous of Alabama's racism? Is that what it is? You saw them disenfranchising black people? Like, oh no, we not doing that. We not doing that. I know we got some officers that can, you know what I mean? 'Cause, hey, we got some good old boys. We got some good old boys. Now, to the gentleman, the officer of the day, shall we say, Michael Austin Kennedy. You know how racist you got to be for the New York Post to call you out? I used the New York Post intentionally. I intentionally used the New York Post. You know how racist you got to be for the New York Post to call you out. That is Fox News in print. And we know how much they love to save a racist. We know that's how Jesse Waters stay employed. We know how much they love to say a racist. And even they had to back away from this. Man, I don't know what's going on in the world today. I really don't. You know, because I was just talking about how these kids this new generation, they just don't know how to keep nothing down. See, I'm old enough to remember if you had texts full of N's and S's, the Latino slurs and what, if you had a bunch of monkey texts that you exchange with your wife while you are a public servant, it's cheaper to keep her. It's cheaper to keep her. What was you doing? You knew she had this evidence against you. Or was it so normalized you didn't know this was going to be a problem?
Well, a now former Arkansas State Police trooper has resigned following accusations his wife made in divorce filings. ASP confirmed Michael Austin Kennedy resigned last month. This was after his wife accused him of being a white supremacist and that his views and actions would poison the minds of their children. Now, she included several screenshots of text messages featuring racist and sexist comments. And while Kennedy did not admit to being a white supremacist, his lawyer wrote in the filings, quote, "The defendant explicitly acknowledges, takes full responsibility for, and deeply regrets the highly offensive and unacceptable language used in the referenced past communications. The defendant makes no excuse for those statements. They were entirely improper, do not reflect the defendant's values today, and the defendant is profoundly ashamed of them." ASP says they have reviewed all of Kennedy's traffic stops and citations and that there was no indication the accusations and messages included in the court filings were reflected in his work performance.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. But no, let's address what you had said. No, what you said before that. Yeah, oh, yeah. They do not reflect his values today. What happened? What happened when magically we wasn't ends no more? What happened? Huh? Y'all were married for 12 years. So the oldest these could have been is, a decade. And we know that ain't. We know they was way more recent than that. So what happened? I saw Trump's assault on DEI and I just couldn't believe what it was doing to the black community. What was it? Huh? What could it, I was watching, I saw how Michael Jordan, I thought they were no good and good for nothing, but Michael Jordan really has done something in motorsports. You know, when I saw what he did in NASCAR, I said, you know what? I decided to turn over a new leaf. That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. Don't reflect your values today. And then Arkansas trying to come and tell me that this is how he was communicating with his closest, most trusted confidant, and it did not reflect his work performance? You wish. Okay, we got white father of 3 killed right before Christmas by yet another wrong way driving, drunk, illegal S. You don't hate them enough. Yeah, that didn't affect his work performance. No, he was fair and impartial. Right after sending that. And S filet F my order up. No speaky, no English. Chick-fil-A catching strays? Chick-fil-A. Do they know? They found Daniel Penny not guilty on all charges, which is shocking for a regime like New York. But I wish you could watch this criminal family member at the podium. All the propaganda stations are letting talk. He's just up there rambling about black power. Whites be racist and S. It's effing disgusting. None of those ends like that deserve to live in a country where we raise our children. They are so effing evil and disgusting. But wait, there's more. As this gorilla is saying is exactly why you must have a zero tolerance for pro-Africa / anti-white S like that Spider-Man movie. Zero tolerance. That sounds like a fair and impartial judge of character. That is the, hey, Arkansas, give him a gun. Give him a gun and let him adjudicate the community filled with people just like that. That sounds good to me, right? That's what we doing. A bunch of ends are shooting each other inside Park Plaza Mall. Illegal S wanted for several murders in El Salvador. He got ASP'd. A bunch of illegal S's. By the way, that's a word that rhymes with quick. Look at this effing queer. Why not add some homophobia into it? And a dirt turkey sand-in attack in New Orleans. Brown people, I hate brown people and brown cultures. They're so lovely and diverse, and I want my kids around more of them. Dirt turkey sand-in. So you just want to make sure that he's fair and impartial with all the segments of society, huh, Arkansas? Why leave anybody out? Women don't effing care how you feel. They don't care if you're struggling to survive day to day. All that S is just something they can use against you to manipulate you or attack you personally. You just shut the F up, bottle everything up, and don't say a effing word. It's better to just effing kill yourself in peace than to share, presumably. And it goes on and on and on. Oh, we got inland. Nice. Using pictures of people. Hey, Elena, they trying to say he was a good officer. So you're going to have to work on that, for the divorce. You ain't got to do it for, the good of society, but how about for the divorce? She described her fear that Kennedy's, quote, white supremacist beliefs would poison the minds of the children and instill the same hatred in them. The children, meanwhile, also currently fear for Kennedy due to his constant spewing of hate and irrational thoughts, according to the complaint. Elena, you mean to tell me that this man is so racist that his white kids fear for their safety and that his white children are uncomfortable because of how racist their father is? But according to Arkansas, we should feel fine. Elena also accused Kennedy of abusing his position as a state trooper. As demonstrated in selfies, he allegedly sent her of himself posing with detained Hispanic people, bragging about his new trophy. In several messages, the trooper plainly states his twisted beliefs, ranging from the banishment of Muslims from America to repealing the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. In others, he texts unprompted, nonsensical rants, typically about wrong-way drivers he assumes are intoxicated illegal immigrants, or tirades against women and black people. Now, it's at this point, because this is so far beyond the pale, I have to ask the obvious question of the authorities in Arkansas. Say what now? Kennedy's father, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Kennedy, is coincidentally the deputy director of the Arkansas Department of Public Safety and manages administrative operations for the Arkansas State Police. Okay, I got you. I got you. So when Arkansas said that his racist attitudes did not impact his performance on the job, what they really meant was his daddy got it. Is that okay? I got it. Perfect. And you know what else is perfect about this too? The whole foundation of his white supremacist ideals being the exceptionalism of the white men for whom he represents, despite the fact that the very evidence of all of these ramblings is so hugely disqualifying for him to hold the position from which he passes judgment on the rest of us. And if not for this divorce filing, he would still be there, thanks to the coverage of his father. And that's a pattern we see all the time, don't we? Let's move over to Colorado, where the Colorado Court of Appeals has reversed the homicide convictions of two former paramedics charged in the 2019 killing of Elijah McClain and ordered new trials. They were both convicted of criminally negligent homicide in December of 2023. Wow. So I guess the whole idea of trusting the criminal justice system is for thee, but not for me. Is that right? The Colorado Court of Appeals on Thursday reversed the homicide conviction of two former Aurora paramedics charged in the 2019 death of Elijah McClain and ordered new trials. McClain, a 23-year-old black massage therapist, died after he was forcibly detained by Aurora police while walking home from a convenience store. And officers claim McClain was resisting. The paramedics injected him with an overdose of the sedative ketamine. He went into cardiac arrest while en route to the hospital and died 3 days later. On Thursday, the Colorado Court of Appeals ruled that the lower court failed to properly instruct jurors about the legal standard they should use when considering the criminally negligent homicide charge, according to the court's published opinion. Cooper, who had faced up to 3 years in prison, was sentenced to probation. A judge originally sentenced Kucinich to 5 years in prison, but later vacated that sentence after he served 10 months. He was resentenced to 4 years of probation. So let me get this straight. They were both eventually sentenced to probation after the death of Elijah McClain, who was walking home from a convenience store, minding his own business. Now, this case predates me recording the content that you guys largely know me for, but those that might have followed me on social media might have understood that this particular case was one that I felt so deeply because I don't believe that Elijah McClain ever truly fully understood what was happening. And one of his last words was to apologize to the very people that had accosted him and eventually caused his death. He apologized. But I guess that's more than we can expect from our criminal justice system. Isn't that right? The third officer indicted in the case, Nathan Woodyard, was also acquitted of all charges in his trial. Prosecutors argued that the paramedics acted contrary to their medical training and protocols. Well, I would say grabbing up a kid walking home from a convenience store and injecting him with a sedative at amounts suitable enough to cause his death would probably be contrary to protocols. That would be my particular guess. But when it comes to Black folk and our criminal justice system, well, this would just happen to be the protocols now, wouldn't it? And by the way, this is the same jurisdiction that just let out Tina Peters, is it not? Oh yeah, and don't think we haven't noticed the fact that after her attack on our democracy, she went right back to the same nonsense. Tina Peters, newly freed by Colorado Governor Jared Polis, begins her MAGA media tour by telling Steve Bannon that Democrats are cheating on elections and she was in prison as retribution for exposing voting machines that flip votes. If anyone had any doubts about whether Tina Peters had learned anything from her imprisonment, she answered that question within hours of her release.
I know that the Democrats are going to cheat. And no one's really addressing the problem that I spent my time in prison as retribution for, and that was exposing the election machines that allow the votes to be flipped.
Now let me get this straight, because the governor told me the reason why he decided to commute her sentence was that she showed remorse, which clearly wasn't the case. The prosecutors in the case of Elijah McClain argued that they broke protocol, which clearly was the case. In Arkansas, they're trying to make the case that this rampant rantings of a damaged and clearly racist and misogynistic mind did not affect his performance, which even according to his own wife, the recipient of that content, clearly wasn't the case. But facts just don't fact the same when we're on the stand, now does it?
I'm not happy. I hate it here.
And shout out to everybody that sent me emails and dropped comments just lamenting how often we have had to do Racist of the Week over the course of the last few weeks. Oh yeah, I've noticed. The ink wasn't even dry on the last one that we recorded about the officer in North Carolina and the moment of silence for Derek Chauvin. The same week. But apparently, just as we saw with those data centers out in Texas, it has to affect them before they sound the alarm. Isn't that right, Elena? No, you did the right thing, and so did they in Texas. But it shouldn't have had to come to that.
A few moments later.
And by the way, Elena, I know you wasn't the only one that he was texting. We know that. No, well, this is what I want to know, because you have the most coverage as his wife, right? Okay? This is what I want to know. Who else knew about all of this and was good with all the Black and Latino people dealing with Officer Kennedy? That's what we want to know. Hey, I could do as many of these as is necessary. Hey, hit me up. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and special shout out to Carrie, Sharon, Jay, Andy, Jeremy, and Benjamin. And also Benjamin, there's multiples. They've made up my research squad, and really we couldn't have made it to this point without you. A huge thank you from me to you. Thank you. Now, as far as you guys are concerned, I've heard all your feedback. I know what you're wondering. Where in the world do we get They About to Drag You? Where can I download They About to Drag You? We have gotten bombarded with comments and emails about They About to Drag You. I would like to give a shout out to our editor here on the channel, my man Denzel. That is his baby. That all came from his mind and laptop, if we're being honest. That's pretty much what it came from.
Yeah, boy.
It's a fantastic piece of work, and if that's something you might be interested in, you can hit him up. You see what an incredible job he does on the channel. His contact information is right there on the screen. Now, in light of that, I thought this might be the perfect opportunity, if you haven't gotten a chance to hear the whole song, with, of course, some comedic accompaniment. Well, here you go.
They're about to drag you. They're about to drag you. In these comments. In these comments. in these comments. Oh, they about to drag you. Hey, they about to drag you. In these comments. In these comments. Screenshots say whole thread on fire. You type too quick, now they all inspired. Refresh, reload, naming every line. You hit send once, now you're trending right. They about to drag you. Hey, they about to drag you. Yeah, in these comments. In these comments. Oh, yeah. They about to drag you. They about to drag you. Oh, in these comments. In these comments. Laugh, react, flood. Every clap on beat. One wrong word. Now they quote your tweet. Say you did too much. Say you're not that guy. You can log off now, but receipts don't die. They about to drag you. They about to drag you. In these comments. In these comments. Hey, hey, hey. They about to drag you. They about to drag you. Oh, in these comments. In these comments.
Yeah, we gonna need another one. We definitely gonna need another one. And you know what else we need is some merch pics with the "they about to drag you" face. Yeah, it's like a cousin to the "who raised y'all" face is the "they about to drag you" face. Yo, now I know the "they about to drag you" face. I had that anytime my prep school went into Prince George's County. I said they about to, hey, yeah, I got a question. Wouldn't that also be the look that any Americans have anytime Trump travels abroad? That's the look any Americans have when Trump leaves the White House. The dragging begins when his foot hits that step.